$100. And if it's purchased over a 4-year period, you're going to be paying an extra $5,000.
Yeah, go ahead, Representative Umberger, Fleck, and Babson.
That wasn't the question that was asked. The question that was asked was, taking the total of the county budget, how many line items would have to be moved in order to come up with the 38,000? I think that's what you were asking. Not just the farm budget, but every single budget within the county to come up with the 38,000.
Well, we'd have to, I don't have that answer.
No, I know that you don't have that answer, but I do know that at the audit time when we do come, and we haven't looked at the third quarter for how we are doing on this. There's just a thought of how it could be done.
These were just 3 items, one in the water department, the farm, and the sewer that Will is responsible for. That's where the $9,100 came from.
Okay.
And I think we understand that, but I think that what at least I'm suggesting is that within the county budget there should be an additional $29,000 that could be used to pay for the truck, rather than, because we've already said we don't want it taken from contingency. And so if I can support taking the money from within the budget, from wherever it might be. Okay? Now, we do have a problem also with, I think, with purchasing a capital asset without having done something in the past to, to account for it. Maybe that's not a problem, but I mean that is, a consideration.
Is it 5,000 for
follow-up question? Yes. Would you want to pay for it outright, or you want to do it over 4 years?
I'd rather pay for it outright. I don't have a problem with that, but I am saying that it should be paid for out of the current county budget, and you need to find where you can move that money around. From my position, where you can find that money within the county budget to come up with a total of $29,000.
Commissioner Kenny, did you have something you wanted to say? I heard you speak to David.
Oh, no.
No? Okay, we're in that, let me just do this. Representative Fleck, Babson, and Merrill.
Thank you. I don't advocate paying this out over a 4-year period, but when I heard the $5,000 figure for interest, that seemed to be exorbitant. You can do that for somewhere around $1,500 or something like that for that amount of money. Look at all of the opportunities there are today to move money. And that just seemed extremely high. But I would also support going ahead and looking at every part of the county budget and seeing if we can come up with this amount or something very close to it.
A good part of it would come out of the nursing home budget. That's what it's mainly for.
Yeah. Exactly. And if there is, you think that there is an ability to do that, I have to agree with Representative Babson that we may want to look to say that we need to charge even more so, but I also know that there is a reimbursement formula for what we do from the nursing home, that paper transfer that happens. So
that we do on food.
Yeah, but I do believe that I think trying to get it over 4 years is not a good idea.
No.
Will
want to answer that $5,000?
Yeah.
The truck to buy outright is $35,000. If we want to make 4 annual payments, which is technically a lease, and then last year you pay a dollar buyout to government program that most of the dealers do with government agencies, is $9,975, just shy of $10,000. So I believe that's what the commissioner's saying.
It's almost $40,000.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree.
Almost $40,000.
The annual payment is what drives up the interest cost on that. But that's not a good approach anyway. I think we all agree on that. That's avoided.
Representative Babson, Merrill, and Umberger.
Madam Chairman, I thank you. I'd like to make a motion
if the motion is feasible,
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow the commissioners to take the needed amount of money, which was $9,500 for the first payment, and that we put the remaining 3 payments in next year's budget.
You want to buy it in on
But then,
time.
we still have to pay the interest, the $5,000.
Yeah.
Can we not make a motion?
Excuse me.
Representative Babson,
Go ahead.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
I said if it was feasible. I don't understand why we have to pay the $5,000 in interest if we're going to put it in next year's budget for the remaining 3 payments and pay that in a lump sum in May.
I'm sure if you go into a lease agreement,
Yeah, if we don't pay for it outright, apparently we're going to have to pay some kind of
Something.
interest.
Yeah, I think, well, it'd be better to pay the interest on the 3 payments for 6 months than it would be spreading the interest over 4 years. But I think Representative Umberger's right, there's something to do, because someone mentioned that at the commissioners meeting when I mentioned it, there's something to do with the lease. You have to either lease it or buy it, one of the
So
2. There's
you've
no
got a
in between.
motion that you want to allow them to do 1 payment now and 3 payments later.
In May when we approve the budget, if that's feasible.
In March.
If
March
it's
is
not
when we do
feasible,
it.
that's not a motion.
Okay, so. if
But I
it's
don't know
not
the
fe-
end of
does
that
any-
finance.
Does anybody want to make a second to that? So let's not, okay, we haven't got a second to that one, so
Okay.
what we need to do is, I've got Representative Merrow and Umberger on, do you want any more discussion?
No, if nobody's going to second
Okay,
it.
Representative Merrow.
Yeah, I was going to make a somewhat similar motion to Dave, but a little bit different, so I'll make it.
Okay.
I would move that we let the commissioners buy the truck for cash and get the money anywhere that they can get it, as they're the ones that's working with the budgets, without taking it out of contingency.
Yeah,
Second.
okay. There's a motion by Representative Merrow, second by Representative Fleck,
I don't know.
for the commissioners to buy
Yeah.
the truck now, but not out of
Water department,
contingency.
the phone, and the sewer, 9,100, that's what he can come up with.
Have you got something to say, Commissioner? I don't know whether,
Commissioner Kenny was saying that we don't have problems trying to find that money in the rest of the budget. We'll just have to look.
I would assume that you would find the money prior to the time that we were authorizing you. You to be able to spend that money for the truck.
Okay.
Okay, so if you can find the money, you buy it. If you don't find the money, you figure out something else. And then
We'll put a can out there and see if we get any donations.
maybe the brakes will even. And I know
That was the
you've got
trade-in
one-
value on that.
It's just, if we don't find the money, we're going to be in a really tight bind. It's one of the most important pieces of equipment on this facility. I mean, a lot of people overlook this and say, oh, we got another plow truck, yada, yada. But when you put the salt and sand down, that is extremely important for people walking on anywhere on this complex. And then you have the daytime where it gets warm, nighttime it refreezes. I'm out here sanding 3 or 4 times from one storm. Okay, I'll come in at night and do it. It might only take me an hour, 2 hours, but I do it several times throughout the day. So it's just an important piece of equipment that we need to keep in mind.
Yes.
up here.
And I do believe that when you go through your budget this year, Representative McConkey did make the fact is that we need to be sure that your equipment that you need for all things are going to be in your budget. That was his objection to the fact of taking it out of the contingency. However, I think that as you come and you are part of the county family, we all need to share ideas and mentor so that we don't get into a bind like now. Representative Umberger, and then was there any other, and Representative Schmidt.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the truck affects every single department on this complex. Because if you don't plow the roads, you don't get where you need to be. If you don't do this or you don't do that. So if the farm is willing to come up with 9,000, then I would think that every other department, 35,000 is what he said it's gonna cost. Okay, so now we're down to 26, okay? And so I think that each one of them can have a choice. Either you don't get your sidewalk plowed and you wear taller boots, or you come up with money to support the truck and the sander. You know, I mean, you gotta lay it out exactly like that, because that's the importance of this. And I agree with Representative McConkey that this truck didn't just fall apart over the summer. It's been this way for years and years and years. And we never, you know, I haven't been on the farm thing, you know, subcommittee, and I don't know whether it was brought up to the farm subcommittee as an absolute need, but I sure don't remember it being in the budget. And so we need to figure out a way that everybody in this complex can help to pay for that truck.
Okay, Representative Schmidt, and then I'll get to Will. And then we'll...
On the motion that Representative Umberger just mentioned in the prior minutes, which I supported, by the way, not to take it out of contingency, but at this point in time, someone just tell me why would we not want to take it out of contingency now, given the emergency status of this? It's money that's sitting there. No, you know, I hate to reinvent the wheel.
You're exactly right.
Why not?
Yeah,
Exactly right.
it's why not. Will, I'm gonna...
Contingency means
When
contingency.
Contingency, the building didn't come before.
I
Wait a
would,
minute, wait a minute.
I would withdraw my motion. I would withdraw my motion if, in fact, we could make a motion to delete the last motion so we could take it out of contingency.
Let's reconsider.
We would
Yeah,
have
reconsider, if we can
we would have to
reconsider.
reconsider the contingency. Representative Schmidt, you do that, and Representative Merrill, that's a point. Will.
I just,
And then Commissioner Kenny.
more on a personal note, I guess, I just feel like I'm kind of, there's some discussion that was started by Representative McConkey that I didn't ask for the equipment at the appropriate time, but I did. And because of budget strains, we had to see what the priorities were. And so the thing that I asked for last year, that was this year's budget, was to get the new lawnmower. When we built this facility, I asked for 3 pieces of equipment. I received 1. So I have asked ahead of time. It just hasn't, because of constraints that the commissioners are put on with budgets, it didn't make it to this far. So I would just remind people that I have asked for this.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Kenny.
We have $9,000, so if we can get $26,000. Because that is a different motion then.
No.
And you would line it out of contingency is what you're asking. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes. So that's what we're doing.
26,000 out of contingency.
Ann Ayton, Register of Deeds,
Yes.
one of the many people who are here every single day, 9 to 5. There's an awful job that the maintenance has to do when we have winter storms. We are fortunate that this was brought to a head by an early storm and not until November or December or January, when you don't have, you've got to wait another 6 weeks for a truck. I really am frustrated by when there's a true need and a true emergency that we sit here nitpicking over something that if one liability of an accident out in this parking lot, and people have fallen out here, is going to cost you a whole lot more than this money for a truck. End of story. If I had money left over in my budget, I would be honored to give it to.
Thank you. What do you want to do? We got a
Is there
motion.
I'll make a motion to reconsider our vote of last.
First of all, we have a motion on the floor.
I will withdraw
You
my
withdraw
motion.
it, Joe, will you?
I will.
Okay, it's withdrawn.
I will withdraw my third.
Doesn't matter, you did, the third wasn't there. So what we have done now is we have a motion is withdrawn. Okay, now, Representative Babson.
I'll make a motion to reconsider the decision we made at the last meeting not to take the money out of for
I'll second it.
for a snow and sanding truck out of contingency.
I'll second it.
Okay. There's a motion to reconsider, not the motion, reconsider the motion not to take,
To
not,
deny the request for money from the contingency.
yes, okay, reconsider, denial contingency money. That's what you want, right, Representative Babson?